The studio was electric that morning, buzzing with anticipation as Tom Cruise strode into the Good Morning America set in Manhattan. He was there to promote his upcoming sci-fi blockbuster, but there was an unspoken tension hanging in the air. George Stephanopoulos, ever the composed host, had done hundreds of interviews, but even he seemed slightly off, eyes flickering to the producer's booth more often than usual. The segment began, politely enough, with the usual banter about Cruise doing his own stunts and pushing physical limits. But then George, in a tone that was too calm to be accidental, pivoted. "Tom, you've made headlines not just for your films lately, but for your comments about mental health and pharmaceuticals. Some say it's outdated, misguided. Do you still stand by them?" For a split second, Tom froze. Then that familiar, intense grin faded. "You're bringing that up now. Here," he asked, voice sharper than expected. "I came here to talk." "About a movie, George, not to relive a 20-year-old tabloid hit job." George leaned in slightly, eyes steady. The public deserves clarity, especially when it comes to influence and accountability. That's when everything began to unravel. Tom's demeanor shifted rapidly from calm to visibly irritated. He took off his mic pack mid-interview, waving toward the control room. "Is this really what we're doing? You ambush me on live TV? With a loaded question about mental health, you think that's journalism?" George remained composed but firm. "Tom, no one's ambushing you. I'm asking the questions people at home want answered." Tom stood up, pacing slightly off camera, then returned and leaned over the desk, speaking in a low growl that was still picked up by the mic. "You're not a therapist, George. You're not a doctor. You've never even talked to someone going through withdrawal or been in a psych ward, but here you are, passing judgment like it's your place." George tried to steer the conversation back to the movie, but it was too late. Tom had already taken his sunglasses from the table and snapped. "You just wanted a viral moment. Congratulations. Hope it was worth it." He walked off, cameras still rolling, leaving George to cover the awkward silence as producers cut to a commercial. Within minutes, clips flooded Twitter and TikTok captioned, "Tom Cruise walks off GMA," and "Cruise versus George, who is out of line." By midday media headlines exploded with contrasting narratives. Some praised George for confronting a celebrity's past comments, while others accused him of baiting a guest for ratings. Tom's publicist released a brief statement calling the interview a manipulative setup not aligned with the agreed-upon topic. Meanwhile, Good Morning America aired a follow-up panel discussion, with experts chiming in about celebrity responsibility, free speech, and mental health stigmas. "This isn't 2005, one media analyst said. "The public doesn't want performative accountability. They want real conversations." But the real shock came from within. An anonymous ABC staffer leaked an internal email, allegedly written by Tom's team days before the interview, asking explicitly for mental health topics to be avoided. The email had reportedly been ignored. That revelation sparked another wave of outrage, and the network was suddenly on the defensive. Tom, meanwhile, was spotted later that evening in a black SUV outside his Manhattan hotel, stone-faced, waving off reporters. No apology, no clarification. Just a storm brewing that no one could have predicted the following morning had escalated into a full-blown media war. While GMA producers scrambled to shift the narrative toward damage control, Tom's camp doubled down. His manager appeared on a rival morning program, stating, "Tom Cruise has worked for decades to build a legacy, not to be reduced to a trap segment on live TV. What happened yesterday was unprofessional and frankly disrespectful." George, on the other hand, kept a professional silence on air, simply saying, "Yesterday's interview sparked a necessary conversation." But viewers noticed the subtle shift in tone. Online petitions began circulating, some demanding an apology from ABC, others insisting Tom had overreacted. Hashtags like #CruiseClash and #GMA-Gate trended for 2 days straight. YouTube was flooded with breakdowns, body language analyses, and think pieces titled things like "Why George Was Right" or "Tom Cruise and the Price of Authenticity." The chaos reached such a pitch that even Saturday Night Live mocked the moment in their weekend opener, portraying Cruise leaping over the desk mid-interview like it was Mission Impossible. Behind the scenes, ABC executives were reportedly divided. Some producers felt George had done exactly what needed to be done: hold powerful people accountable. Others worried the confrontation had crossed a line, particularly if the leaked email about off-limit topics turned out to be authentic. It's a delicate balance, one insider leaked anonymously. We're not TMZ, but we also can't pretend celebrities get to dictate the terms of every appearance. Meanwhile, Tom's fanbase, surprisingly varied in age and geography, began organizing a grassroots defense of their idol, painting him as a man who had long been misunderstood by the mainstream media. "He's not perfect," one viral tweet read, "but he's real, and that's more than I can say for the people who interview him." In the following days, even talk shows like The View and The Talk debated the blow-up, with some hosts calling Tom unhinged, while others said he was finally standing up to media bullying. The line between journalism and entertainment had once again been blurred, and nobody was quite sure which side they were on. But then the unexpected happened. An unaired segment from the interviewer recorded just moments before things went sideways was leaked online. In the footage, Tom could be seen calmly answering questions about his movie, speaking passionately about the challenges of filming during a pandemic and the emotional toll of action-heavy scripts. But just before George shifted into the mental health topic, he was heard whispering off camera, "Let's go there now." That tiny moment ignited even more controversy. Critics accused the show of plotting the confrontation. It wasn't spontaneous, claimed a media watchdog site. It was calculated. That clip was viewed 12 million times in 2 days. By then, Tom had already left New York, canceling his next press stop and flying back to California. Paparazzi caught him at the airport, head down, earbuds in, silent, but the damage, or perhaps the legend, was already done. The interview would go down as one of the most talked about moments in GMA history. Back in Los Angeles, Tom Cruise kept a low profile, but not for long. 3 days after the GMA incident, he posted a cryptic message to his followers on Instagram: "When you know the truth, you don't need to scream, just walk away." The post, paired with a black and white photo of him walking toward a helicopter, sent fans and critics alike into a frenzy. Some took it as a nod to his walk-off moment. Others interpreted it as a declaration of war against a media machine that, in his view, no longer valued authenticity. Meanwhile, GMA quietly updated their YouTube title from Tom Cruise on his latest blockbuster to Tom Cruise's explosive interview, full clip. The retitling was seen by some as shameless, even opportunistic, while others pointed out that GMA was just playing the game the public demanded: drama sells. The incident stirred conversations in deeper media circles. Journalists questioned the ethics of gotcha interviews, while publicists began re-evaluating how much control they truly had over live TV appearances. Industry insiders noted that while confrontational interviews had always existed, the current climate made everything combustible. One tweet that went viral put it bluntly: "We don't do interviews anymore. We do ambush theater with a studio." Audience? Hollywood PR firms reportedly began drafting new clauses into client contracts, demanding topic approval before appearances, especially for morning shows. And in boardrooms across the network landscape, executives realized something. Audiences were no longer just watching for entertainment, they were watching for the next breakdown, the next unscripted truth, the next raw explosion that might pull back the polished curtain. George Stephanopoulos, for his part, issued a brief statement the following Monday. "I stand by my questions. Our job is to ask the hard ones, even when it's uncomfortable." But he didn't address the leaked off-camera remark, nor did ABC comment on it officially. Tom never returned to the show, and insiders say he may never do another live interview again. But his upcoming film, Edge of Infinity, surged in pre-sales following the incident. Whether out of curiosity, loyalty, or spectacle-seeking, people wanted to see what the man behind the storm had created. In a strange twist, what was meant to be a tense promo turned into one of the best marketing campaigns his team could have never designed. Organic, messy, human. In the end, it wasn't about who won the argument. It was about what it revealed. That even A-list stars can lose their cool. That even polished journalists can play dirty. That the line between transparency and intrusion is thinner than ever. Tom's outburst reminded the world that not all guests will play by the rules, and not all interviews are safe. The clash echoed long past the studio lights, whispered about in green rooms, and dissected in reaction videos. And somewhere in the smoke of it all, one truth lingered. Authenticity, whether explosive or uncomfortable, always leaves a mark.